In 1952, deep within a cave on the edge of the Dead Sea, archaeologists uncovered a scroll unlike any other ever found. It wasn't written on parchment. It wasn't written on papyrus. It was written on pure copper, and unlike every other ancient scroll filled with prayers, laws, or stories, this one contained a treasure map, a list of 64 locations where gold, silver, and sacred artifacts from the Second Temple of Jerusalem had supposedly been hidden, waiting to be found. To this day, no one has ever found that treasure. But the clues are real, and so is the mystery. It all began in March 1952, when a team of Bedouin shepherds and archaeologists were searching the Qumran caves near the Dead Sea, the same area where the Dead Sea Scrolls had been found a few years earlier. Inside Cave 3, wedged behind a rock wall, they found 2 rolled-up metal sheets covered in green corrosion. When the sheets were unrolled, they revealed hundreds of Hebrew letters, carved, not inked, into copper. Unlike the religious scrolls found nearby, this one read more like an inventory list, each line describing a hidden stash of gold or silver, and the exact measurements of where to find it. In the cistern under the stairs, 42 talents of silver. In the court of the peristyle, buried under the great stone, 17 talents of gold, each talent equaled nearly 34 kilograms. If true, the total treasure could be worth over $1 billion in modern value. The copper scroll was unique among all the Dead Sea discoveries. All the others were written on animal skin or papyrus, fragile materials meant for scripture. But this one was written on metal, suggesting permanence, as if the author wanted it to survive the ages. Scholars soon realized the Hebrew was strange, not classical, not modern, but a form of mishmash Hebrew with odd abbreviations. Some even called it treasure Hebrew, a secret shorthand used by priests or temple scribes. The question was no longer what the scroll said, but whether any of it was true. The copper scroll listed 64 locations, each with measurements in cubits and unique landmarks, but without modern references, none made sense. Some spoke of valleys, cisterns, aqueducts, and temples. Others mentioned obscure names like Kolit, Hakeda, and Sakaka, places that no map records today. Archaeologists tried for decades to match them to real sites near Jerusalem, Jericho, and Qumran, but every excavation came up empty. The treasure remained hidden. So who wrote the copper scroll? And what treasure was it talking about? 3 main theories dominate the debate. Many believe it was written by Jewish priests in Jerusalem during the Roman invasion around 70 CE. As the Romans advanced, the priests supposedly hid the temple's sacred treasures, gold vessels, menorahs, and offerings, to keep them from being looted. The copper scroll would have been their coded record, a way to one day recover what was lost. But if that were true, why was it found 70 kilometers away near Qumran? Another theory links it to the Essenes, the mysterious desert sect believed to have lived at Qumran. They were scholars, scribes, and mystics who renounced material wealth and studied sacred texts. Could such an ascetic group have possessed mountains of gold? Some say no, the scroll could represent spiritual treasure, a metaphor. Others argue it was the community's real wealth, hidden for protection. A few researchers suggest it was a Roman forgery, designed to lure rebels or treasure hunters into traps, or perhaps an early Christian creation symbolizing heavenly riches rather than material ones. Yet no evidence supports those claims. And the material, pure copper, dates unmistakably to the 1st century CE. If the scroll's contents were real, the treasure would be beyond imagination. The list mentions over 4,600 talents of gold and silver, equal to nearly 200 tons of precious metal that's worth billions of dollars today. But what's more astonishing is that some items aren't gold or silver. They're described as sacred vessels, priestly vestments, and incense altars. These would have belonged to the Holy Temple in Jerusalem, making them priceless religious artifacts. When the copper scroll was found, it was too brittle to unroll safely. In 1955, scientists at Manchester University decided to cut it open, literally sawing it into 23 thin strips. When they did, they found the Hebrew letters perfectly preserved after nearly 2,000 years. It was then fully translated, and the treasure fever began. Archaeologists, explorers, and even the Israeli military searched for decades to uncover its secrets. None ever found a single coin. In the 1960s, a scholar named John Allegro became obsessed. He believed the treasure was real, and that the scroll contained mathematical clues pointing to hidden chambers. He even convinced the Jordanian government to allow excavations near Qumran and Jericho. Allegro found caves, cisterns, and tunnels, but no treasure. When he announced that he had found signs of buried wealth, his colleagues ridiculed him, and his career collapsed. Yet even now, many believe he was closer than anyone realized. Recent analysis using high-resolution imaging shows that some letters on the copper scroll were carved deeper than others, possibly encoding secondary messages. Researchers discovered patterns in measurements, multiples of 7, 12, and 40 numbers, symbolic in Jewish mysticism. Some even think the scroll might form a cipher, a map layered with numeric codes that point to spiritual locations rather than physical ones. Could the treasure have been hidden beneath the Temple Mount itself? If so, no excavation could ever reach it, since digging there is strictly forbidden. One of the scroll's final lines mentions vessels of the house of God hidden with great care. Some researchers whisper, could this include the Ark of the Covenant itself? The lost relic said to hold the tablets of Moses, the very presence of God on earth. If true, the copper scroll might not lead to gold at all, but to the most sacred object in human history. In recent years, technology has reignited the Hunt digital 3D scans of the scroll's text allow experts to map locations. Using AI pattern recognition, some believe the sites match ancient water channels and tunnels beneath Jerusalem and Qumran. But modern politics prevent any further digging. Others think the treasure was long ago found quietly by someone who never revealed it, or perhaps it was never meant to be found at all. Maybe the copper scroll was a message for the faithful, a promise that divine wealth lies not in the ground, but in the heavens. For nearly 2,000 years, the copper scroll has whispered of untold riches, of faith, war, and secrets buried beneath the sands of time. Its letters are carved in metal, but its meaning remains fluid, a riddle without an answer. Whether it leads to gold or to God, the mystery endures. And somewhere, in the hills of Judea or the depths beneath Jerusalem, the treasure may still be waiting for the one who finally understands the code.